am now.
Okay, so am I.
Jake, you don't gotta be angry at me.
I'm calm.
Can tell. Alright, ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
What the? That was a weird
Jake.
countdown.
Yeah, how?
That was not spaced on my end.
It wasn't?
I heard 3 to 1. Boom.
3 to 1.
3 to 1.
Okay, okay, we'll do it again. Ready?
No.
Jake.
Hello.
Time that we spend stalling is time that you don't get to edit.
Then start the countdown.
Wait. 3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Venture Podcast. I'm Corey.
And I'm an idiot.
I wasn't going to use that word. Jake,
Dumbass.
would you like to explain why we're recording today?
You say that like they know what day we're recording. All you need to know is go to Saturday and you'll know exactly what happened. I wrote it all out for you.
Yeah, and for anyone who missed it, here's 2 seconds of that.
You're gonna make me have to choose 2 seconds of that.
I was hoping
that
that you would pick the
masterpiece.
part. I was hoping you would pick the part with the text that explains the problem.
Well... So...
You could just put the Oreo scene in. Hell, if you
Anyway.
didn't, put it in right here.
Anyway, we recorded an episode, and then Corey's like, hey, we should have a post-show. And
Don't you fucking pin it on me!
And we recorded it, and apparently Audition wanted to be dumb as fuck, because I saved a file as PvP 44, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to make a new Audition file, and I'm going to call it PvP 44 Post, because it was a post-show idea.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they are both the post-show, and I don't know why.
That's just confusing. You didn't actually explain the problem to me. So, like, I was just going in blind with the idea where it's like, oh, he literally just recorded over the pre-existing audio.
No, the post-show just got saved as the original one for some reason.
Well, regardless,
But,
we're here now.
yeah.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, last time we talked about RWBY, which was why we made a post-show, because we were like, hey, there's a lot to talk about RWBY, let's make an extended thing of that. It's called a post-show, and so, yeah, we have to talk about RWBY, or else the post-show's not going to make any sense.
I guess so. And hey, since with the way that the podcast is being released now, I'm probably going to push it to be the Sunday upload of not next week, but the week after.
Great.
Just so that's like, it makes sense. What do you mean, great? I'm trying to figure out how to space this out so you have time to work on this.
I am just disrupting the entire flow of everything we don't have.
Oh my god. Anyways.
Anyway,
yeah,
Volume
we
7's
talked about
pretty
RWBY.
great.
So, yeah, controversial opinion that that Jake and I both have, which, from what we can tell, a lot of people in the community do not share. I think this is one of the strongest seasons that's had, like, period.
It's got good story, it's got good character development, it looks good,
Oh yeah, real quick, spoiler talk. Just put up the sign. Spoiler warning. Skip to this timestamp if you don't want to be spoiled on RWBY up to the end of Volume 7.
Nora should be the Winter Maiden, but that's not important. Wasp should be dead, but that's not important.
Oh yeah.
Crow can easily be called innocent if he just grabs Robin's hand and is like, I didn't kill my son.
Yeah, so one of the things with this season, that definitely it was, while combat was there, of course. I mean, you had the scene with the Aesops in the mines, and you had just like Aesops versus RWBY. You had Juniper, or like Juniper 2.0 versus Neapolitan. You had a bunch of different fight scenes like that. This volume definitely leaned a bit more towards diversifying the characters and like giving us a clearer picture of where they are mentally, and I have to applaud them for that. Like, Miles and Carrie have always been like pretty good writers when it comes to that kind of stuff. The only thing that I'm like a little shaky with was the way that they decided to present Clover and Tyrion versus Clover? Did I say Clover or Clover?
Clover, Tyrion, and Crow.
Yeah. Ignore the fact that I stumble over my words all the time. You if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you already know that.
You know that of both of us.
Oh god, yeah. We're just like stumbling over everything. I'm surprised that we have anyone that still listens. But regardless.
Thanks, Corey's mom.
Yeah, love you. But yeah, because we had a bit of a debate about how that outcome like happened, which I mean, we already said spoilers, so we can just say it. Clover dies, is killed by Tyrion, with Tyrion using Crow's weapon in order to like frame him. And the argument that we were having is how much of that was influenced by Crow's semblance. Because the semblance in the show is misfortune. He brings bad luck to people around him, which is good for fights, but bad for his companions. And for a long time, it was assumed that he is the reason why Ruby's mom, Summer, died. But in this volume, we learn that she was killed by Salem. So I'm confused of like how exactly his semblance would work. Personally, I'm in the camp of that it had no involvement with his semblance. It was like planned by Tyrion. For the moment that Clover's aura was weakened, Tyrion took advantage of that and thought of a way to frame Crow so that Crow would get arrested. I know you said that they have like, you know, the mobile lie detector in Robin Hill.
Yeah.
But that also brings up the question, I think, did we talk about this in the post show where it's like, how does her semblance work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know the specifics of how it would go about working, but anyways, that's just how I feel. I feel like that whole situation was purely from just an opportunity that Tyrion took, and it wasn't influenced by Crow's bad luck.
Yeah.
Is Jake?
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
No.
I can tell.
I mean, I agree with you on that, and in the post-show, I went over how Crow doesn't actually have bad luck, but that's beside the point. Watch the fucking post-show tomorrow from when this comes out.
But yeah. Oh well, Jake, I see what you did there.
Did you?
Yeah.
I used a reference of time that the audience can understand.
Are you upset that you lost the audio and have to now like push the day?
Yes.
And so you're trying to force me to put together that post show too?
No.
Is this the end
Look,
of the Pixel Ledger
look,
podcast?
look.
I see Corey and Jake, they're at odds
Look,
right now,
look,
and
I know.
I don't understand.
I know
I'm
we're
sorry.
recording this the day before the Saturday this original episode was supposed to go up on, but
Yes.
this is going to be uploaded the week after that. Because this
Okay,
is episode
because
45 according to the Clapper. And the post show is going to be that Sunday after. It's going to be tomorrow. The tomorrow from today.
What? What?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Okay. So, clearly,
okay,
if you look
Jake,
at your
pull
calendar,
out the chalkboard.
If you look at
draw lines.
If you look at the if you're looking at the calendar, right?
Yes.
Today is the 15th.
Yes.
Your post show is going to be up on the 16th because you're editing that because I'm editing the main episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay,
We
I'm
solved
sorry,
the
I got
case.
I got confused because like with the way that you had with that tone, it sounded like you were like you're getting it out on the 9th, and it's like what if we have no context?
No, this right here is gonna be on the 15th. Anyone listening to this on the 15th, why? And then you're going to release the post show on the 16th.
Yeah. God, I'm sorry for the confusion, but hey, anyways, RWBY. Penny why? Penny why?
Penny because she robot and don't cold.
Literally.
Gamer. Your move, gamer.
Oh my god. Don't get me wrong, I love Penny. I think she's a fun character. I enjoy like the arc that she's gone through this volume of like questioning the authority that like has controlled her, because like first and foremost she is a weapon for Atlas and like was programmed with the sole intent of being like a weapon.
The sole intent.
I'm glad you picked up on what I said.
Okay, I'll
there.
get out of here.
No, it's okay. If anything, it's setting up for Pietro to die so that its stakes are raised.
Don't kill my dancing shoes, man.
He'd better give those dancing shoes to somebody next
If
volume.
those shoes don't make an appearance at some point, like...
Miles? Carrie?
What if the dancing shoes let him walk?
Yeah.
And all he wants to do is dance. Like, they can make you, like, not paralyzed, but he just wants to dance.
So, what you're saying is that RWBY's going to turn to Mamma Mia.
This is the game. This is the game theory we didn't have in the post show. If Pietro's going to make himself walk again, but all he wants is to dance.
Oh my god, Jake.
Yeah.
I want to see that now. Like, I know it's not going to happen, but because of like that little pitch that you had there, now, oh man, I'm going to be disappointed when they don't do it.
Miles, Carrie, hire me.
Mr. Teeth, hire me. I won't leak Red vs. Blue spoilers, I promise.
I would never do that.
Let me wash my hands in the same sink as Gussarola, and we have a deal. You don't gotta pay me. Just let me know that he was there. Know that I'm in the presence of a god. Okay.
Let's see.
Is there anything else with RWBY? Because to be honest, there's a lot to talk about the volume. There's plenty. I mean, I know that we went into theories with the post show, which again is going to be on the 16th. But
let's see.
I like what they did with Jock in this volume.
With Jacques?
Jacques Schnee.
Jacques Schnee.
Yes. You good?
Jacques.
What? I like the fact that they made it so that he didn't get away with it. That he was caught in the act. I was worried that it was going to be like another one of those things where it's like that underground operation that nobody detects, and then all of a sudden, oop, everything falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm thankful that they had that moment where Weiss walks in on the meeting where he's supposed to be like, you know, firmly like placing like his status as like one of the new councilmen down by like demoted Ironwood. And then Weiss just comes in with the receipts and is just like, step down, father. And I just enjoyed that a lot because I want to see what that does in the long run. Because Whitley already was at odds with Weiss. And from the conversation that Weiss had with her mother, you can tell that Whitley isn't happy to be stuck in Atlas with his dad. Especially knowing that his dad is a convicted criminal, his mother's an alcoholic, and nobody truly cares for him.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Whitley become a legitimate threat in the world of RWBY. I could see that turning over.
Okay.
I don't know how you'd feel about that, but I like the idea of them trying to do one thing that's like, you know, momentary good, but having a cascading effect that creates like one of the most dangerous enemies they could face leading up to Salem.
Did we lose my utilitarianism rant?
I think so.
Oh. Ironwood is the name I didn't almost forget. Ironwood is a utilitarian, and I went on a big rant about utilitarianism and how it's a philosophy focused on the ends rather than the means, where its objective is to maximize pleasure while minimizing pain for the greater whole of a society, unless you follow the particular branch that's more individualized. And it tied that philosophy to Ironwood and how he's a military man that is usually packed together with utilitarianism because it's about the greater good, no matter the means, which are usually seen in a darker light, 'cause it'll be seen as like sacrificing people's lives for other lives, but that's not always the case. But in Ironwood's case, that is the situation being presented as he's leaving Mantle behind to save Atlas and everyone that's there while his forces are depleted, and even he himself is depleted. And I think this had to do with Corey saying that he thought Ironwood may have been under Salem's control through Watts controlling his robot
That was
leg.
part of the theories. That was part of the post-show.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, that was something that I considered.
Oh, and
but,
he shot a kid. That too. He shot a kid.
Yeah. Which I think is a real character defining moment for him. Of that whole thing where it's like, my friends get to call me James, you get to call me General, and then just shoots him. Like,
Yeah, not only shot a kid, but shot, like, who was supposed to be one of his, like, best friends he could trust.
yeah, his mentor. Like,
Yeah.
like literal. And I mean, if anything, on the plus side, it was enough to awaken God, what am I forgetting? Ozpin. Can you please put in the Hazel like a voice line? Like, Ozpin!
Oh no.
Over and over and over
And over again!
Dude, I love Hazel. I hope he comes back. You
I
didn't
wanna
see him
see
at
him.
all this volume.
I want to see him again. He's my favorite. He's my teddy bear.
Yeah, he's my big old teddy bear that shoves crystals
Does
into
drugs.
Yeah, who does essentially his semblance cocaine. Like
He's
put
sheer
shove-
willpower.
yeah, through sheer willpower and fucking crystals made of fire, he can defeat anything. Dude, he got stabbed through the chest by like a spirit wasp. He was fine.
He got fucking home run by a supercharged Nora.
Dude, I remember seeing that animation and laughing like crazy just watching him fly. Oh man, and just like that, what it reminds me of is the zombie scream from Call of Duty Zombies. The
Oh,
like that.
right, yeah.
Like it's super similar, or like a distorted version of that Tommy Wiseau Labor Day video. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Doki.
It's so good. Such a good video.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, anyways, RWBY Volume 7, solid. Terrified of what's going to happen next, because you know that there's going to be a fight between Salem and, like, the team.
Hopefully.
And there will be a casualty. I'm guaranteeing that right now. Someone who is major to, like, the cast will die.
This is why.
No! Fucking no!
Oh, yeah.
Zwei is safe and curled up in his little doggy bed with his fluffy little ears.
Miles, Carrie, hire me.
Yeah, Miles, Carrie, have Salem have Salem send one of those like orb grim to Patch, and when Tai Yang thinks he's going to die, all of the like little spear bits go straight into Zwei.
You know, it makes you wonder. Zwei is all black and white. Who knows? Maybe, you know. Maybe he's grim. Maybe he's gonna get killed by RWBY and then cries and then uses her silver eyes and destroys the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
Hire me,
and
Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. She kills Zwei, feels really bad, uses silver eyes, cries, and then Zwei's body just gets fucking evaporated, and so they can't even bury him.
Well, Grim that's evaporated horrible. Anyway, but you just
that's
made it
horrible.
Worse. Yeah.
He's a cute little puppy. Like, that's not going to happen. You know what would be... So, here's a wild, unrealistic prediction that will never happen.
Great.
But I would love...
Great, we love those.
I would love, during the siege on Atlas that Salem is currently performing, I want to see Salem try to appease well, not Salem. I want to see Cinder appeal to Salem, being like, we have the relic now. I'm the proper maiden. I am strong. You can trust me. And have Salem just kill her.
Or turn her completely grim.
Yeah, I either way, because like I know that they are not on good terms after having because like in Salem's eyes, if you fail, you don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
Like the only reason that I think she gave Tyrion a second chance is because that she knew that if she told him that she was disappointed
she
in
is
him,
his goddess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's disappointment, that's worse than like being like, fuck off. Like, just being like, I'm disappointed in you. That like makes Tyrion completely break down.
Doesn't it suck when you're met with disappointment?
My face when I meet disappointment is just that like gif of him with his tongue out going like Oh, and here's the actual crazy theory. I want them to be fighting a bunch of Nethermore, and then RWBY slices one of them open, and Torchwick falls out.
No.
I know that wouldn't happen, but imagine how funny it would be if he just like appears and he's just like, little red, and then another Nevermore just picks him up and flies away.
Like a top hat, sure, or like a cane, sure.
Oh,
but like if he came out, people would be like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, the top hat, Neo has it, and it's a bowler cap, I think, right? Because his design was based off of Clockwork Orange.
You know, I don't wear hats, Corey.
No, well, I was just saying because like you know the film Clockwork Orange, right? The part in the movie.
Yeah, I go to a film school
where a woman gets diddled on screen while other guys are beating up her husband while one of them is singing in the rain.
Yeah, I go to a film school and we watch art. What's your point?
Yeah, we watch art.
We watch art in the form of women being beat.
That's a quote. I don't like that. Can we just talk about how like some movies are considered like artistic like classics and just like so impressive and like important to cinema are just nasty?
Okay.
Like there's so okay, you know what I'm referring to though, right? Where it's like there's films that people are like, this cemented this director in Hollywood or whatever, and it's just like complete gore porn or something like that, and it's like
I mean, you have things like Madame Bovary that was made into multiple adaptations, but originally came from a book, and it's literally all about this woman who's like, husband, have sex with me, and he's like, no, and then she like meets another guy, and she's like, have sex with me, and he's like, I want to, but I'll just think about it, and then he leaves.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's the entire... Are you kidding me?
And it's basically meant to be like a slice of life kind of thing, yeah.
But nothing happened.
Oh, something happened. She gave birth at some point because she doinked her husband once, and that was it.
She doinked her husband?
Yeah.
Doinked. Dude,
Doinked.
Doinked is going to be the new one. Ah, dude. Forget shoot the goo or baby batter. Doinked. Or
oh, God.
Goofed. Goofed was the original one that I liked. Doink. Doink is going to be the new
to be fair,
word that I use for
baby batter is a sin.
I mean, in the eyes of God, maybe.
No,
like,
just in general, it's a sin. Like, the word is just no.
What, batter?
No, the combination of baby and batter.
But that's how you make children.
No.
You use pancake batter to make pancakes.
Yeah, you just fucking shove it in your vajumanu. And then the baby comes out like 5 minutes later once it's all golden brown.
Jake?
Yeah?
It's pronounced Vegeta. Secondly...
Vagana.
What happens if you... I was going to say, what happens if you overcook the baby?
Now, what if you use waffle batter?
Waffle? Ew! No!
What? Okay, so that's where you draw the line at waffles.
Jake, think about the context.
What context?
Waffles and children.
I don't follow.
I don't feel comfortable saying it out loud because just saying it out loud makes me upset.
Corey, take out the chalkboard. We're going back to the chalkboard. What is it?
Okay, I'll write it out. Those are the sound effects. Unless you want to put them in post.
Great, because I couldn't. Okay. You yelled at me for connecting children and waffles.
Yes!
But you're connecting this to children.
They come out of it.
Not these specifically. Not these. These do not come out.
You're so disappointed.
I am. It's like, man, you shouldn't connect chocolate and keyboards, and it's like, why? Because I shit on my keyboard. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Jake,
why did you introduce that middleman?
Jake, that's such a jump!
It really isn't. That is the same jump you just made. You introduced an unnecessary middleman that came from your dirty gutter of a mind and made it all
This
worse.
can happen on dirty gutters. Your point.
What?
Nothing. Let's move on.
Dude, I'm living for this episode. We need to have more failed recordings. I feel like this one's more entertaining.
You know what's a failure that's less entertaining?
Oh, we get to talk about this.
So,
You have the floor.
okay. Okay, so I have the microphone now. Got my little
Yeah,
podium.
you remember how that?
Doing all this
Yeah, you remember
post-
that episode?
Doing all these, post-production effects that I'm gonna regret later.
Yeah, you know the episode that I had with Kaylin where we talked about K-pop and Ryan where we just talked about anime and you just had nothing to say.
Now's my
You
time
have
to
the
shine.
floor. Yeah, now you have the floor.
Gotta get myself some water first to make sure I'm,
Hold on,
hydrated.
I got sound effects for this.
Here's your sound effects.
I put too much water in my mouth. Hold on. That's the sound of drinking water, right?
So, I have been a fan and supporter of Blizzard Entertainment for well over a decade. I have played World of Warcraft continuously for over a decade. I played Heroes of the Storm for years, and it was hands down my favorite MOBA. I've played Overwatch since a year before it came out, because I played a demo of it at PAX East 2015, played it the following PAX, and then bought it immediately once it came out the May 24th after PAX in 2016, and played it continuously for years, even occasionally playing it recently. I've even dabbled in Hearthstone, I've played StarCraft 2, and I've even dabbled in some of the Diablo franchise. And I've even gone so far as to defend Blizzard and the actions they took against Blitzchung and what that meant in terms of Blizzard's relation to China and Hong Kong. I managed to defend all of that and be by Blizzard's side for a really long time. Blizzard should be ashamed of how they handled Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Here it comes. here comes the storm.
Everything Blizzard did was a complete and utter disaster. They took their game that people loved, Warcraft 3, and they attempted to remaster it, or as they were calling it, Reforged. There's really only so many things you have to do with a remaster, because it's a remaster and not a remake, so it's a lot simpler. You just need to improve the graphics, improve the quality of life, and considering this was a game from 2002, maybe just make it a little bit more compatible with modern computers and make it, more smooth and everything like that. They did none of those. They did not a single one of those. The graphics in the game are okay at best. All of the models, sure, the textures themselves aren't bad, and they have a realism aspect to it, but not only was that not really a part of Warcraft 3 to begin with, since it was always a bit more cartoony, just because that was easier to do, but because of how they tried to make something look more natural, it just looks like a bunch of fucking plastic on not that very good looking 2D maps. It still has the exact same bugs it had before. It probably doesn't even play that well compared to, the original Warcraft 3. Even if it's a little bit better, you literally
I
have
heard they made it
18
more clunky.
Apparently it's more clunky. I wouldn't know because I'm not playing Reforged, but I did play Warcraft 3, and I thought it was manageable compared to some other games of that time. And then...
I mean, the controls definitely didn't age well, but at the very least, like...
they're playable.
Yeah, it's playable. Meanwhile, like, again, I haven't touched the game. I refuse to support this game. I have seen plenty of videos, though, of people who, like, played Warcraft 3, like, religiously. They go into Reforged and just almost immediately back out.
And for me, you know what is one of the worst contenders of all of it? The way that Blizzard completely fucked up the cinematics in every possible way.
Yeah, in the lost episode of the podcast, Jake actually had me sort of react to the new animation that they had, and then a fan sort of updated version.
Now, the way they announced Warcraft 3 Reforged and got the hype built up for it was they took the introductory cinematic from the original Warcraft 3 and they gave it new models, new textures, new sound effects, new visual effects, completely redid the whole thing. And it wasn't perfect. I wasn't a fan of the orc. He looked a little bit too much like the Hulk for me, a little bit too human, but it looked great. It looked fantastic. The effects were amazing. They didn't do that with a single other cinematic. Now, they said they would never do it, but they set that expectation for what it could have looked like, and the fact that they just said they would never do it was just a sign of their downfall and that it would just fail from the start.
Yeah, they pulled this is actually something I thought of after the fact of when we recorded it. They did what Ubisoft did with Watch Dogs, where when that was first revealed and you saw the trailer, it was all in engine. It was all like, well, I know that this wasn't in engine because completely different like kind of game or whatever, but it looked so good and looked fantastic, and people were like, this is next gen. And then it released, and they purposely throttled the game so that the PC version and the console version would run the same exact way, so that nobody could say like, oh, the PC version would be better because it can handle like better graphics or whatever. In this case, though, it's just they straight up lied.
And so what they did with all of the other high fidelity cinematics was, because they still had the original files from all of those cinematics, they just re-rendered it at a higher resolution. And you know what happens when you re-render a cinematic from 2002?
PlayStation 2 models.
It looks like it came from 2002, except you can immediately pick out all of the problems with it because it's at a higher resolution now that can't cover up any of the mistakes that were made or any of the shortcuts that were made.
An extra level of crust on the already crusty scenes.
And you know how they managed to make that even worse? They added new sound effects to them for no reason. New sound effects.
Was that what the thing with the sword when it's in the air it just goes like was that added?
That wasn't even in the original.
Oh right. Why did I forget that?
Because in another atrocity, the Arthas versus Illidan fight, they completely fucking I can't tell you anything. I can't justify anything. It is awful. It is ridiculously slow. There is no tension. The animation is shit. The graphics are shit. The effects are shit. 2/3 of everything that happens in that cinematic completely pointless or completely brain dead. And there is no in between. There is no upside to that cinematic. At one point, Arthas loses his sword. It flies in the air for 5 seconds. There's a fucking freeze frame on it in case you forgot it was a fucking sword and not Arthas himself flying through the sky. It lands in the ground, and he picks it right up. No attack after, no reverse shot of him being like, oh, you knocked away my sword, I gotta go get it before you fucking kill me.
It was this whole
None
dramatic
of that.
angle that was just tracked and followed the blade, and like it went in slow motion and everything, and just lands, and then all of a sudden you just see him go, pick it up, runs back over, slides underneath. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, there's the part where Illidan is trying to hit Arthas with his Warglaive, and Arthas
just slides underneath
and
grabs his
the
wing
from behind, apparently becomes absolutely weightless as he just gets dragged behind, and then stabs Illidan through his fucking weapon that has a blade coming out of the back of it. It's fucking dumb as hell.
It's like when you're like a little kid and you're running down like a flight of stairs and you grab onto the banister to swing around. That's literally what it looked like.
And then, of all the great things that Illidan could have done, he drops his weapon to spend like half a minute transforming, only to fly in the air. Keep in mind, as a demon hunter, he has the ability to shoot lasers from his eyes. He just dives in to a guy with a fucking sword with his hand.
Yeah. And they don't even show the body. They don't even show the body. They show the cut. Like,
they show the body.
Like,
they just don't show
focus.
any of the damage. They show nothing. They show nothing that happened.
You see Arthur's just kind of like, waddle towards like the
he
fucking like...
He just walks away.
Yeah.
And like, sure, he does that in the original one, but it shows Illidan basically cut in half on the floor with a giant gash in his chest. And this other one, he's just hunched over, out of focus, in the foreground that you can't really see. You don't know what happened to him.
They couldn't afford the particle effects.
But maybe he's dead. Who knows? Yeah, they spent all the particle effects on the fucking sword flying in the air.
Yeah, they spent it all on the sword glowing 3 times throughout that video.
And there's no music at all.
Oh yeah, it's so uncomfortable.
It feels unfinished. It is
uncomfortable.
unfinished. It is god awful.
Yeah. There's absolutely no way that this is what the game was supposed to release as. This is a crunch time title.
Nobody who worked on that cinematic should be proud of what they made, and it should never be used as an example of their work.
Literally, this, and the worst part in all of this is that the only two things that Blizzard has done in response is, one, they made a refund page like a few days after.
A few days after, they made a refund page.
And then, after that, they issued a half apology. Because, with, game developers nowadays, they don't genuinely, there's some developers out there that will genuinely be like, hey, we're sorry, this game came out unfinished, buggy, we're going to commit ourselves to it, we're going to make it work, we're going to make it better. They were like, hey, it's not as bad as you guys think, but we'll work on it. We'll do some things. That's the extent of their apology.
Yeah.
You can tell this is about as cash grab as you could get with a Blizzard game, and that's after Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm, you could sell that on the fact where it's like Blizzard heroes from all the different games go in, fight, plays like Dota, League of Legends, all those games, have fun.
But that isn't even a cash grab because it's free. This isn't
exactly.
$40 to buy a game you already have that's managed to be better than a game made in 2020.
Exactly. Okay, and also, just since I brought up Heroes of the Storm, the models in Heroes of the Storm look way better.
They look better because they're stylized, and they have character to them, not the pieces of plastic they gave Warcraft 3 Reforged for some dumb reason when they could have easily just reused assets and hell, maybe even change the assets a little bit and make them a skin in Heroes of the Storm, the project they completely abandoned.
Which makes me very upset, because that was the few, one of the few games of that nature that I really enjoyed. And everybody would just constantly just be like, why are you playing that? Play League of Legends.
Play League, play Dota, play Smite even. I
have problems with Smite, but Smite occasionally can be fun. But Heroes of the Storm was the one that I could go back and consistently play and consistently have fun with, especially when they added Lucio. Like, it was just like, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
But
Here we are.
this is a slap in the face for anyone who has been a very long time supporter of Blizzard, which, I mean, we have one right here. And just in general, for anyone in the gaming sphere when it comes to trust in remakes. Like, we've had great remakes. Resident Evil 2, one of the best remakes, period, because it introduced a lot of new things while also capitalizing on the reasons why Resident Evil became the great franchise that it was. And you have, like, the Insane trilogy for Crash Bandicoot, where, like, and Spyro Reignited, where it just brings back these beloved game characters with modern hardware, and people just fell in love with them.
Final Fantasy.
Exactly. Final Fantasy VII, which is releasing, like, very, very soon. I believe it's this month, right? No, not this month. It's March.
Yeah.
Or was it actually pushed? I think it might have been pushed. Not sure. But regardless.
And then we have the Blizzard Polish.
Which means nothing anymore.
Something that used to be just a fact of the industry. Like, oh, Blizzard just knows how to do things well. Like, they know how to make things look good.
Blizzard pulled a Bethesda. That's the best way I could describe this.
They pulled a worse than Bethesda, because at least when they copy and pasted Skyrim, it functioned.
It's just shameful. As someone who... So, I didn't play a crazy amount of Blizzard games, but I did play Warcraft 3. I played Overwatch for a while. Lost Vikings, I actually played a lot when I was younger. Seeing where the company has gone, and not even looking at the situation with Blitzchung, because we've talked about that before. Not talking about, like, controversies they've had in the past. Which, there's a list. There's a good list.
A lot. There is a huge list.
Yeah. Not even looking at any of that. As someone who once was like, hey, I'm excited to support this company. I'm excited to invest my time in these creators because they're creating worlds that I want to experience. I have never wanted to distance myself from a specific developer more than this. I really don't know how to support them past this. It was already up in the air with so many situations in the past. Like, it's going to take a long time to build up trust, especially with how deep they dug that hole. I just hope they drop the shovel and figure out how to get out. Because they're in deep. Any deeper, and everyone will just abandon them.
I used to think that it would be a dream job to work at Blizzard. And you know who made me think that that would be an amazing life to live? Chris Metzen.
Damn.
The legendary game designer, the lore expert at Blizzard, was this great person among a great team that has slowly just been leaving the company until there's basically no one recognizable at Blizzard anymore. We have Jeff Kaplan, who has outwardly spoken out against Blizzard and what they did against Blitzchung, and that's about it. He's the head of Overwatch. You've got the head of World of Warcraft, J. Allen Brack, he's not even that anymore. He's the president at Blizzard, who is the same guy who said about vanilla, you think you want it, but you don't. And, yeah.
They're changing. the drive to create these worlds, at least as far as Blizzard's is concerned, that's gone.
If I remember correctly, I don't think any of the people who originally like were there from the beginning are there anymore. Because Mike Morhaime used to be the president or the CEO, but like he dropped out a while ago for J. Allen Brack. And he was like one of the original founders, and he's been gone.
That's why, honestly, this is what I do when it comes to games, and I implore anyone who has a favorite developer or a favorite studio or anything like that when it comes to games. Know the names of the people who work on the titles that you love. See if they're there within the next year. If the studio or whatever changes their direction, they change the way that the games look, play, feel, like to the point where you just don't feel like you agree with that, look and see if the same team's working on it. I guarantee.
And if they leave,
there's someone different.
If they leave, follow them.
Follow them.
And then you have things
Exactly.
like Titanfall. You even have things like Destiny.
Like, that's why, honestly, I am so happy in this day and age the indie scene is as big as it is.
Actually, now that I think about it, you have Titanfall, you have Destiny, and then you have Outer Worlds from the people who made the original Fallout.
Outer Worlds
Yeah.
is incredible, by the way. For anyone who hasn't been able to mess around with it, watch it, play
And
it, do it.
those are all titles made by teams of people who made great things that have since fallen out and then made better things with their own visions.
Yeah, and like I understand like when investors and money get in, that's like that makes things complicated. That's again why I fucking love the indie scene. I love seeing developers who used to work for like big companies, like great example, Rare in the 90s, early 2000s, huge. You got Donkey Kong Country, you have Banjo-Kazooie, you have they did Perfect Dark, right?
I think so.
Like, you just have these incredible people just able to produce these fantastic games, and then you like Microsoft acquires them, which I don't see a problem with, like with the acquiring thing. Like that means more funding, as long as there isn't like a push or like them forcing them to do something completely different. They forced Rare to make Kinect games. The failed motion control rival, like quote unquote heavy air quotes, rival to PlayStation Move and the Nintendo Wii. Like, that's just shameful, which is why I'm so happy you look at the original team from Rare, well, at least most of the original Rare guys, they now have a studio called Playtonic. And with Playtonic, they created Yooka-Laylee, which is, they have the original, which is kind of like a collectathon a la Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, those types of games. And then you have Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, which is like the sequel, but it's a 2D platformer that is very, very reminiscent of Donkey Kong Country. And those games are brilliant. They're so much fun. And so, like, that's why, again, I implore you, follow the developers you like. If you see a team, like, of people that you know what kind of games you like to see, how, like, understand what it means to make a great game, like, just don't let go of that. It's so easy to let go of that. Don't do that. Just let... I missed the days where I could just like sit down and enjoy a game and not have to worry about like whether or not it was phoned in, like, and know that I had a complete game, like when I sat down to play it. These days, I go into everything expecting a day one patch or an apology from the developers, and I hate that is the environment that we're in now.
Yeah.
And I remember, though, like, you said this in the previous recording, and I'm probably going to butcher it, which is why it would be nice for you to reiterate it, but this might jog your memory, where you were saying about how you've supported Blizzard, like, for pretty much a decade.
I have done so much for Blizzard as a consumer, and they have managed to let me, with the best assumptions for their intentions, down, and disappointed me, and made all of that time and effort that I've put into their games feel like it's been completely wasted with no payoff. I've had great experiences from their games, but they've taken being a fan of Blizzard from being, like, something I could say with even, like, a sense of, like, pride, being like, oh yeah, I've been with them for, like, you know, this long, to people who are, like, just getting in, and now I sound like a villain saying I support Blizzard.
And no one should ever be in a position where they feel guilty for enjoying the games they do.
Blizzard is like the new EA.
That hurts to hear.
That hurts to say, as someone who gives their best memories to Blizzard. Some of, like, the best friends I've ever met to Blizzard. That was all through them. Mostly through World of Warcraft. Just the best times of my life from the people who are now, like, dead to most of the gaming industry.
If there's one thing that, like, games in general, especially the PC and the online kind of gaming scene, if there's one thing that I can say is that those bonds that you make with those people stick with you and will overcome a lot of things. I hope that for anyone listening, for anyone that you've met through Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, like whatever, I hope you stay in contact with them. Because for all you know, with the way that things are going now, those games might not be there, like, in the future. And that's a scary thing to say, especially seeing how one of the things that really built up our friendship, I don't know if you remember this,
Overwatch.
You and I, we had... Yes.
We played
Overwatch
with a bunch of other people from our high school, and we would do quick plays, and then when competitive came out, we even started doing that. We would be in chats, like, late at night, not even playing competitive games, but doing custom games, basically, with, like, at, like, the various maps, and plan out, like, who are we gonna pick, like, what routes are we gonna go. And, like, I'm pretty sure Overwatch was, like, the first game we really, like, played together.
Hanzo main. That's what I remember.
Yeah, you remember, like, Hanzo main, you were Lucio main, and eventually I switched over to being a tank.
Yeah, and you played Reinhardt like crazy.
Yeah.
I pretty much played every character but leaned towards, like,
Lucio.
The supports. Yes, Lucio, but also, like,
Lucio.
The other supports. Jake.
Yeah. Yeah, other supports like Symmetra.
We were there. We were there for that.
Bitch, I was there when Bastion had a shield.
Yeah,
when he had a shield in front of his turret mode. I was there when, I shit you not, Anubis, on the first point, there was no well there originally. There was just a hole.
Wait, Anubis or Ilios?
Anubis. On the first point, it's like this plaza area between like a couple
there's
buildings.
just a hole?
Yeah.
In the center?
I mean, it was like covered, but yeah, just a hole. A covered up hole.
I thought you were talking about Ilios, where it does have that pit in the center.
Nope. Imagine that, but it has like
A tarp.
not even like it's like a clear, like almost like glass like thing over. It's like you could walk over it, but there was just kind of like a hole there.
Well,
if you don't,
that's...
if you don't believe me, you can watch like the early. Do you remember when Blizzard released for Overwatch like all these different like hero introductions for like their kits and stuff?
Yes.
You can see the hole on Anubis on the first point, the same way you can see Bastion with his shield.
Yeah, it's... Damn. If this is an indication, Blizzard means something to both of us. It means something to they mean something to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So Blizzard, sort of wrap up this open letter. Fix your shit. You have a lot of people who want to care about you, who want to support you, and you're letting them down.
I just want to see CD Projekt Red become what Blizzard was supposed to be.
I fully believe that they can do that. They're well on track.
Yeah.
And even though like I know a lot of people are like, Cyberpunk 2077 was delayed again. I can't believe it.
Because
like,
they
this game will
understand
never
that the
come out.
late game is eventually made good, but a rush game never will be. And that's something that Blizzard has forgotten time and time again.
And that's something that a lot of the industry has forgotten. I
Yeah.
argue. Where they're more concerned about getting the paycheck, making that money, that they don't want to.
They don't
release
realize
anything.
that holding back on that paycheck might earn them more money by making something that's actually good.
Exactly. Like, what was the way that you described Reforged to me? You said that it was similar to Getting Over It, but with like a different.
Oh, right.
Kind of
Warcraft 3 Reforged is kind of like Getting Over It, or kind of like something like Dark Souls, where it's incredibly annoying, except the difference is Warcraft 3 Reforged is annoying by accident, and not by design.
And if there's one word that I could use to describe the entirety of this, it's an accident. The game's an accident.
It's shameful.
It's dull, it's boring, it's messy.
Their one job was... You could argue their one job was to make it look better as a remaster, and they didn't even do that. Instead, they wasted time and money and assets on models that don't even look better than what they literally already have in another game. And this is all gone without mentioning the fact that there's no custom game modes in Reforged. A classic feature from the 2002 version of it that spawns so many different kinds of genres. From that
Literally
openness.
the reason that Dota exists.
Dota, and then League, and then MOBAs as a whole.
Yeah, literally.
Not to mention
the
tower
thing-
defenses. People
the
built a
thing
ton of
that
fucking tower defense games in that.
Yeah. The thing that eventually built up to the point where Blizzard had to release their own version of it. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'll admit that like not all of the custom maps were winners. Like there were definitely some that like weren't good, but all in all, that's what kept the community active. That's what kept people playing past the main campaign, past like multiplayer stuff. Just like having those custom maps where you can experience the game in a completely different way. That's how a lot of people actually got started too in the industry. Just like going into custom maps, going into custom creators or things like that, and just throwing themselves at it until they create something that's like resembles something fun.
Yeah.
Like why would a game developer or like a game development studio want to actively discourage like players from creating and possibly sparking the inspiration to make their own stuff? It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling.
On a happier side note, because I need at least one ray of sunshine in this conversation, did you know that walking simulators spawned from a mod of a game?
Are you talking about the game that I think you are?
The original version of Dear Esther, which is considered to be like the first walking simulator, at the very least like the first bigger named one, that was a mod of Half-Life 2, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Same with Stanley Parable.
Yep.
The original. Or Black Mesa.
Yeah.
Was a whole mod that got its own like separate game with a new engine. Gary's mod. Like
And now from that you have things like
Prop Hunt.
You have Prop Hunt. I was thinking Murder. Trouble in Terrorist Town.
Yeah.
I was gonna go a completely different route and say it brought us the Endless Mission.
Yes.
Where it's an entire game about the modification of games.
Literally, like, you in those games, like while they're like in the same like sort of engine and the same limitations, they all did so many different things. Like, and that all just spawned from Half-Life, from taking the multiplayer CD, going in and messing with the maps.
Yeah.
Like, I so like much wish, like I don't like doing the whole like, you know, I was born in the wrong generation, but like I wish that I was around, or at least like, you know, old enough to really see the development of like the modding community and the development of like the skeletons of these games. Because like I feel like there will never be another time in the game industry where something like that's going to happen. Everyone is obsessed with the idea of making something in an independent sense. Like maybe it's influenced by something, maybe it's inspired by something or whatever, or maybe it's like a full ripoff. Like, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of games unless it's like a game that's tailored for creating something out of the assets that it gives you. Like, say, Endless Mission, or here's a random example, WarioWare DIY for the DS, like where literally the game is you get a mini game engine to create your own mini games in music, in comics, and whatnot, and then it just lets you do it. Just lets you go at it. Like, I don't know. That was just me rambling for a bit, but I hope at least like you understand what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah. I just hope that this is like a phase of the gaming industry that will eventually just kind of blow over like other trends that the gaming industry used to have, like every single like product and like IP had their own game, and you'd have like, you know, this the game and that the game, but those have kind of like died down a little bit more.
Console exclusivity. I can see that dying.
Console exclusivity. Like, I
want to see.
I hope that we will dig ourselves out of this darker hole of just like corporate corruption and pleasing of shareholders, and I hope people like, again, CD Projekt Red. I'm last I checked, id Software was still doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? Quantum Break? The people who did like Detroit and Beyond Two Souls.
Insomniac is doing pretty good.
Insomniac.
I heard Sucker Punch is doing decent. I don't really know what projects they're working on right now, but
Sucker Punch, Revolver,
Ninja Theory. I'd argue like anyone who works with Devolver Digital.
Devolver,
and,
that's
and,
what I
like,
meant. Yeah, Devolver.
That publisher.
I hope is Bungie still on good terms?
Bungie did Anthem.
Right.
And Anthem is considered
Did
by
they?
many to be. Yep. It was Bungie and 343.
I really want, and of course it brings me to Blue Cross when I type Anthem. Anthem.
I remember it was like a huge thing where it was like the guys from Halo plus the guys from Mass Effect.
All I'm seeing is BioWare.
Oh yeah, it was BioWare. That was it.
Yep. Developed by
Bungie's
BioWare,
fine.
published by EA.
Yeah, BioWare.
Yeah, BioWare's fallen a little bit.
You know what? All they need to do is.
What?
All they need to do is release Knights of the Old Republic in like today's graphics, and they make all the money back that they lost from Anthem and Andromeda. That's all they gotta do.
Yeah.
But of course, I wouldn't be able to trust that. But anyways, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap things up in a nice little bow?
Nothing particularly important. I miss Blizzard. I miss
Time
being
will be.
proud of Blizzard.
That's honestly a really fucking sad note to end on.
I could go on like a brief rant about coffee.
What? Are you going to talk about your French press?
Yeah, I've got a French press and it's really nice. It perfectly fits 4 cups of water with 3/4 cups of coffee that I can then just leave in the fridge and make cold brew overnight. And then, even better, it all perfectly fits inside of the stainless steel thermos that I got for Christmas. Which is great, because that just means I just have a full fucking bottle of coffee to go through the day.
That's actually wicked cool.
Yeah, dude.
You know what? I feel like I should say like at least one happy thing.
Yeah.
So and this is actually in something that probably wouldn't have been in the previous episode.
Oh.
I'm actually able to go to PAX
Hey.
this year. Originally, I missed the window to buy the ticket that I wanted. However, they did a quick re-release because they went back and they got all the ones from like well-known scalpers. That they got them back.
Oh yeah.
And so they put back up the Saturday and Friday passes. So Jake and I will be going to PAX East on Saturday the 29th.
With Ethan.
Yeah, so if any of you who are listening happen to be in Boston for the event, let us know, and we could definitely say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, we'll definitely have an episode talking about our experiences, how it went. I know this year, for a fact, I don't think I'm going to be going to any panels.
Yeah.
I think, depending on when if Throne Controllers is on Saturday, I'll go to that. But other than that, I just want to see games. I want to talk to indie developers.
Yep.
I want to go around and just like learn more about the new minds in the industry who will make it big. Like I would love to see if Studio is back. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the guys that did the hide and seek espionage game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that so much.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, that's the discussion.
And we might have something special to release a week or two after PAX, because we plan on doing something while we're both in Boston at PAX. And yeah.
It may or may not have been a preview of the thing that we uploaded last weekend.
I'll let you decipher that and the video.
Alright. Anyways, though, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Pixel Venture Podcast. I've been Corey.
And I've been disappointed.
Jake.
Yeah.
I feel like you need a hug.
I need
I hope
Blizzard
that
to
it picked up.
return to its former glory, and yes, I did hear that.
I'm hungry. See you guys next time.
See ya.